Good evening, everybody. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is a nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. We're delighted to be here with all of you on Earth Day for a special conversation in celebration of Fat Girls Hiking. Fat Girls Hiking was written by Summer Michaud-Skog, who is the founder of Fat Girls Hiking, a hiking community centered on a body-positive mission to get folks of diverse backgrounds out on trails, no matter their size, ability, or experience level. With more than 24,000 Instagram followers and 29 and counting official chapters across the country, FGH continues to grow by the day. Trails, not scales, is their motto, and it's all powered by Summer's grassroots efforts, tireless work ethic, and gregarious, welcoming attitude. Not only is Summer a self-starting leader of a vital community, she also holds a degree in creative writing and is a photographer in her spare time. We are joined today as well by Sarah Meng, who is a longtime Charis friend and family member. Sarah is a queer, fat mental health therapist and Atlanta native. Sarah's research and clinical work focuses on sexuality, gender, fat liberation, rejecting health as a moral imperative, and recognizing the mind-body competence minoritized groups are required to develop. And we are joined in the chat by somebody very special, your mom, which we're delighted by, and maybe some of your mom's friends too, which is awesome. So thank you for being here and supporting your daughter. We love having family in the chat. So folks are also invited to shout out where you're watching from. And of course, if you are a hiker, or if you participate in any of Summer's groups nationwide, let us know. We love to hear where folks are participating from, and you can also shout out your favorite hikes or, beautiful places that you like to be in nature, because we love to talk about that. You are also welcome to ask questions. There's an Ask a Question tab at the bottom of the screen. You can put it there, or you can also put it in the chat and I will move it over and Sarah will pull those questions in towards the end if there's time. So thank you both so much for being here. Sarah, Summer, thank you for your work. Sarah, thank you for celebrating this book with us. There's nobody I would rather be our interviewer tonight. So welcome to you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, I'm so excited to celebrate this book. Actually, that's a great way of introing this, because the first thing I wanted to say was, oh my God, Summer, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Yes, it's so gorgeous. And this book is lush, is the word that I want to use for it. This is a book with words in it, but it is also a book with so much photography in it.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful to read through and connect with the words, but also connect with this gorgeous, gorgeous scenery and these fucking amazing bodies that are throughout the book. And I know that a lot of people gave their writing and their photos to the book, but that you're a photographer, and that must have informed your decision to use a whole lot of gorgeous photos in here.
Yeah. A really cool part of about publishing a book was I'm a writer and a photographer, and to have all these photos of mine in the book is really incredible. And just to see what photos resonated with the publisher and then to hear feedback from people. I've never done an art show or really published my stuff outside of social media. So it's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on this book for sure. I wanted to also kick this off in a way that I imagine might be kind of similar to how you kick hikes off, which is to go ahead and affirm what kind of space we're in right here and are going to participate in. So I wanted to go ahead and name this as a place where we're totally not going to talk about diets. We're not talking about weight loss. You can go do that tons of other places. It's not happening here. And we're not talking about hiking as a way to burn calories. Nope. We are talking about fat liberation, which is foundationally and fundamentally intersectional. Thank you so much, Summer. You did not write a book that should actually be called Fat, White, Affluent, cis straight girls hiking. That's not the book that you wrote. Thank you for that, because it can say that this is about fat liberation as a result of that, and that this is about pleasure, the fat body. We are amazing at experiencing pleasure and joy and healing. And so is there anything that you want to add into that, Summer?
Community is like a huge part of Fat Girls Hiking is to me. I honestly just feel like I wouldn't be here without the community, really. Their stories that are in the book, and their presence in the in-person community, in the in-person spaces that we have, are so meaningful to me. But yeah, it's like self-care, healing, joy, celebrating who we are, like just exactly as we are, is a huge part of Fat Girls Hiking is.
Since you just named community, and I'm loving people saying hi from Connecticut and everywhere. The book, you've got your own excerpts of what you're writing, and then there are trail reviews, and then there are, what do you call them? Community profiles.
Community spotlights,
Tell me about the decision to include community profiles and anything and what brought you alive about it, because I can kind of sense the community profiles pull you alive as part of Fat Girls Hiking.
Yeah, absolutely. I like obviously I started Fat Girls Hiking, but I don't want it to just be about me. I think that's sort of like how it started, as the Instagram account was like me and like what I was doing in the outdoors, but it very quickly kind of shifted to be about like these broader community that like wanted a space that they could claim in the outdoors and in the outdoor industry. So as I was doing the work when it first started, it was like meeting so many new people, either through like the internet or like in person on group hikes. So I started a blog and on the website. I didn't really post that many, but I did, when I would go on hikes with people and take photos of them and like ask them questions about their connections to the outdoors. And that's really what started the, community spotlight idea, was through the blog. And I knew that I wanted to translate that into the book. I didn't want the book to just be like, I wanted it to be kind of an all-encompassing thing of like what Fat Girls Hiking is. It's like, what would the experience of group hike like, be, and for people can like understand all of those aspects of like what this community is.
Yeah. And there are different profiles that I connected with more than others. Some of them I was like laughing. I could hear their voices. Some of them actually made me cry. And it just, to have just so many different voices and to read all of the different reasons why, like fat folks may want to go be outside, and that the outdoors is a space for us too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I really just want, like, obviously I just have one perspective, and I want to hear other people's perspectives and like how do they access the outdoors, or what's a barrier maybe that they face that I don't face because we're different, and just with this common, fat liberation thread throughout and being outdoors. But like, I think it's really important to shine the spotlight on other people as well, because I just don't like having my platform be about like me. I'm kind of like an introvert, and believe it or not, I'm kind of shy. And so like, to be able to like, be like, no, put that on someone else, like just, makes me feel more comfortable too in the way that I live. So.
Yeah. The way that you live, and also invoking the we in this, in the community that you're talking about. Yeah. Folks in the chat are talking about accessibility. So I thought I'd say also that the trail guides talk about bathrooms and whether they're ADA accessible, and bathrooms, not just if they're there or not there, but also if they're gendered.
Yeah. I think that's something we don't always have the information for online. And I think that is an access need for trans people and for non-binary people. And I think that information should just be readily available. I don't know how many times I've been like in like a wilderness space where there's been like vault toilets. If you don't know what a vault toilet is, basically like, you know, a pit with a toilet seat on top, right? And they're gendered, and it's like, why? It's a vault toilet. Why does it have to be gendered like that? So I mean, I just think that's silly to me. But for people to have that information ahead of time, at least they can, you know, take care of themselves in the way that they need to in regards to having to use a bathroom.
One of the trail guides that you wrote that had, I felt a little sass in it, was when you asked the folks who worked there if it was ADA accessible or not, and they didn't know. And so you went and found out, and you were like, they didn't know, but I found out actually this does have a paved trail. So I was grateful to, this book is one place to find out about some accessible hikes, and hopeful that other fat girl hiking groups might be doing that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I've run around a little bit with Fat Rose, which is a fat liberation group that you mentioned in the resources and like internet connections that's in the back of your book, as well as a lovely index. I really love an index, and it's excellent.
I didn't know that they were doing that. I was surprised by it, but like,
I truly love an index. Yeah. So Fat Rose is a fat liberation group that you all should totally Google and check out if you haven't. And one of our meetings some years ago, we talked about fat magic. So what are the things that fat people are actually uniquely, incredibly amazing at? And so when I'm doing new things that might intimidate or scare me because of fatness, I've started to think, what fat magic do I have that's in this? So for example, sitting and breaking chairs is a place of shame for a lot of fat people. And someone in this group kind of turned that around to say we break infrastructure. We let folks know where something's not working anymore. Or when I'm stretching, like sitting with my sort of ankles together, my belly gently presses on my thighs in a way that deepens the stretch. That's a fat magic. Totally. And so I'm wondering, in hiking, what are some of the fat magics? It's not a barrier. It's actually like a place that our bodies bring us, and maybe even an advantage. What do you think?
Wow. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah. I feel it's something I might have to think about, but I love the idea of fat magic and like things being specifically like what fat people experience, or like you know, like I mean, the thing that I immediately wanted to say is that I feel like, and this is true I guess for all body sizes, but specifically when I think of like big things in nature, you know, like big trees. I love big trees, and I cannot lie. My terrible joke. Thank you for laughing.
Good. Yeah, so good.
Big trees, I cannot lie. Yeah, but you know, just like seeing, I feel like I see myself reflected in nature. You know, as you know, when I go to the beach, I go to the beach every day, and I see like the ripples in the sand that are created by like the water and like the wind, and it looks like stretch marks. And whenever I see that, I guess maybe that would be a fat magic thing. Like it's like stretch marks on the beach, and it's like the most beautiful thing to me. And it's like so magical that like water and wind could like make this cool pattern on the beach that looks like that looks like my body, you know. And I love it. I love seeing that.
So beautiful. Yeah. Or the way a fat body could like requires me to move slowly. And that means that I'm going to notice more things.
Yes. Perhaps. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, not all fat bodies move slowly, but mine does. And I definitely know I see more because of the speed to which I am outdoors. I experienced that a lot when I was outside with kids, and I think that's really what got me super into loving like being outside and hiking, is really slowing down to see like small things, just appreciate small things in nature. Because like, you know, like our lives are so like go 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 go, you know, always doing things, always whatever. And like when I really like slow down and pay attention in that way, it is like, I don't know what it gives me so much joy. You know, it really like fills me up and makes me really happy.
You quote Mary Oliver, the letting the soft animal of your body love what it loves. And for me, I certainly would identify my body as very soft. And then later in the book, you write an excerpt, what's it called, with the When We Were Animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you'd be up for reading that. To me, it read as such a, you know, if Summer were going to say what letting the soft animal of your body love what it loves, like what would that be in 3 pages? I don't know if those connect for you, but I just thought it was so beautiful, and a way perhaps in this virtual moment for people to connect in with what is so incredible about being outside through your words. So if you're up for reading that excerpt, I would just love to hear it.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the whole thing?
I would, yes.
Okay.
And choose your own adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that you said that when you read it, it was almost like a response to that quote, because I love that quote. I love that whole poem, Wild Geese by Mary Oliver.
Yeah.
I think about it literally weekly. I would say I think about that poem, and I didn't write this as such, but that makes me so happy to get that feedback from you. So I will read it. It's called When We Were Animals, That Essential Connection. Humans are animals. We often forget this. We wall ourselves up in boxes, homes, offices, automobiles, and become indoor. Deprived of our instincts to connect with the natural world, we become something other. Our culture presents this indoor life as the only way to live successfully. I'm not here to judge or shame anyone for enjoying an indoor life. A life outdoors is not accessible or safe for everyone, and I recognize the privilege I have in living the way that I do. My goal is to offer an alternative to the mainstream narrative that we must work, grind, and hustle indoors to be accepted. There are many ways to live a life. As children, we are told many things. We are told not to get dirty, to be careful, don't hurt yourself, the adults say. We are sheltered behind well-meaning caregivers. We aren't encouraged to be curious. We are taught to behave. At certain points in my childhood, I was taught manners and etiquette and to sit up straight. But I wasn't so lucky enough to have, sorry, Mom. But I was also lucky enough to have a mom who would push my siblings and me out the door, telling us to go play. I didn't understand then how much of a gift it was to roam the woods without adults, using my imagination and getting lost in worlds I created. Feral cats became my guides through the woods, and I was their queen. Once, an owl swooped down to the low branch of a birch tree and showed me the way to her nest where her babies were small and fuzzy. The train tracks we walked on led far away from the boring cornfields of the small town. There were a million stories to be told. As I connect with outdoor spaces as an adult, I remember what it is to be whole. I remember the imaginative play from when I was a child in the woods, an intimate connection to that outdoor space. It can be difficult to maintain that connection now. Yes, we are animals, but we have bills to pay, work to do, and tasks to tidy and maintain our boxes and the people in them. Luckily, we don't need much to be made whole. A yard, a trail, a beach, a wild forest far from any town, or a park in the middle of a city can all provide connection. Why do we humans feel so good after we've spent time outdoors? We are animals, and it's in our nature. Put your bare feet on the sand or grass or wherever you find yourself on the earth. Touch the leaves of a tree, trace its lifelines, and note the sensation under your fingers. Jump into a glacial-fed river on a hot summer day. Yes, it will be cold, but once you're back ashore, you'll feel the most alive you've ever felt. Your skin will tingle, and you'll feel lit from the inside. Pick up the rock you just kicked. What is it made of? Taste the place you came from with the tip of your tongue. Maybe it's raining. Take off your rain jacket. Strip your armor, the armor we are told we should always keep on. Remove it. Feel the cool drops on your warm mammal skin. Close your eyes and feel the warm sun on your face. You can do this anywhere, city, town, or wild space. Take note of what you see, what you emote, what you awaken within yourself once you've made an intentional connection to the natural world. Your senses are now wide open. You are alive, a remarkable thing. We humans feel the effects of modern life on our mental and emotional well-being. We are stressed and anxious. When we lack a connection to nature, fear and anger are always near the surface. But when we are outdoors, the chemicals in our brains behave differently. By honoring the land and our connections to it, our emotions, thoughts, and habits become nourishing rather than harmful. Our instincts aren't only to survive, but also to feed the curious mammal child within us. At this point in my life, I am outside most of the day, every day. My life is no longer walled up in a box. When I gave up the safety and comfort of an apartment for a van, I gave myself the gift of realizing I am an animal that needs to place my bare feet on wet grass, even if that means I step on a few jagged rocks. I am an animal that craves knowing the names for trees, plants, flowers, birds, and other mammals. It seems a human thing to crave, but curiosity and knowledge benefit us. I seek to remember the patterns and migrations of life changes as they were before modern days of being stripped me of what I must have once known. The energy I absorb outdoors has been instrumental in improving my quality of life. Joy is easier for me to cultivate under the watchful eyes of a hawk that soars above trees older than I am. This outdoor life is not always easy, nor does everybody understand it, but it is a good life as a curious human animal open to the possibilities of every single day.
Oh, thank you so much for reading that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would love if folks are into it, just writing into the chat what any of that brought up for you. Those images, a good portion of that is like truly meditative. Is hiking meditative for you?
What's that?
Is hiking meditative for you?
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's, especially when I'm by myself, which has been the case a lot lately. It's like, I don't know. It's, and I'm, cause I am outside all the time because I live in a van, you know, and so outdoors is just all the time. But when I'm like intentionally like on a trail, like hiking, I'm just excited to see what I see and just to see what's, you know, even if it's a trail that I've hiked a million times, it's different in every season. And I find that to be really exciting. Like it is a place of peace. Absolutely.
Mm. Yeah, I'm just realizing I know what fat is for sure. I know that a girl is anyone who says that they are a girl. How would you define hiking? Because it definitely is something that I, and maybe as a fat person, have been like, oh, that means you get to the top of a mountain. That means you've got all the gear. Hiking means that you start way before the sun comes up and you don't finish until whatever. And that it's grueling. I just noticed in my voice, there's like it has to be hard. So, and that there were definitely people throughout the book who wrote about maybe hiking is just going outside and moving around. And so I have to say, I'm actually just not sure. What is hiking, Summer?
I define hiking as walking on a trail, or not even walking, just like being on a trail outdoors, no matter where you are. It could be in a city. I live in Oregon, and when I lived in Portland, there are tons of urban trails, you know. I would just say it's being outside, moving your body outside.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to like refine what is, as someone who wrote a book about it, I need to refine my thoughts on this a little bit.
I was thinking, because of what you read is so, when I said meditative, just like being in the present moment and not trying to achieve a certain goal, just like noticing and being with. And so I was realizing a contrast in myself of what I think of or have thought of as like, super athletic focused, although hiking can be athletic for everybody who wants it to be. I see a message that says waiting for Summer to reconnect. Oop. There you are. You're back again.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't do it again. I'm in the country, so the internet is very interesting rurally. I will say.
Everything's happening wonderfully. Someone says hiking is exploring to me. That's so beautiful, Renee. Yeah.
But I think you're so right, because obviously working in the outdoor industry, as I have for 7 years now, I know what people think hiking is, right? Or like how it is like traditionally like defined. And I think there's a lot of there can be a lot of people in the industry who gatekeep what hiking is, right? And I think that's such a that it can be such a barrier for people who maybe define it differently, define hiking as something else. So, I mean, when I walk on the beach, I consider that a hike. Would, people in the industry consider it? Maybe not, probably not. That's a walk, right? But like, why do I don't know why we have to like define it so it's a more exclusive thing, because to me it's like, a hike is however you define it for yourself, and that can be so many different things. So to try to define it as just one singular thing, I guess I would say maybe it's just like being outside with the intention to connect to nature, which lots of people probably wouldn't define hiking as such. I'm not a person who is like, I have to reach this destination, or I'm like just way more chill about it. I just want to have a good time. I want to enjoy myself when I'm outside. So if I'm not enjoying myself, like, I don't really care if I don't make it to the, predetermined destination. So
yeah. And I love that in your conversations about group hiking is that there's not a predetermined destination.
Yeah. Because I think that it can really, especially people who are new to hiking, or people who are maybe like afraid to try hiking, or they don't think there is a place for them in the outdoors. Like, if we set it up as this, like, the real intention is like connection, right? So it's like connection to ourselves, to nature, and to each other in the community. And then what it is beyond that is like, we get to decide if we go to this destination or not, and I've led plenty of hikes where we haven't made it to our destination because the weather was shitty, or like we just weren't feeling it, or it was harder than we thought it was going to be. Or like one time I led a hike where there was a creek crossing and it had just rained a bunch, so the creek crossing was pretty intense, and I, with all my experience, was like, I don't want to take a group across this creek, and I myself don't want to go across this creek. It looks a little unsafe. But so we decide as a group, like, how do we go from here? And some people went ahead, and some of us stayed back and just like talked about fat liberation in the woods next to a creek. And like, that was a really cool experience. And probably hiked maybe a half of a mile. And I consider that to be a super successful event because it's the connection for me.
The connection, yes, and to nature. And I'm also, there's so much in the book and what you're saying now about connection to yourself and your intuition and your body, and that voice that you had that said, not this creek today, this creek another day, okay, but not this creek today with how I am and we are right now.
Yep. And I think that's what the outdoors does for us. I mean, I know that's what it's done for me, is I really have grown more confident in my abilities, and more confident in listening to my body, and being able to hear my body cues, like if I'm tired, if I'm hungry, or whatever, and listening to like what it is I need, because I think it can be hard to do that in our culture, that we're just supposed to like be agreeable and go with the flow and all these things. But it's like, once you kind of can get in tune with yourself, it's I don't know, it's just like changed my quality of life, I guess, in a way that I didn't expect nature to give that to me, but here we are.
I mean, and the fat body is told that we shouldn't need anything and that we need too much. Just and many bodies are told that, but you have a good amount on what to pack with you. And I loved that you were like snacks, which it's like, obviously bring snacks.
I love snacks.
Yeah.
Why I loved being a nanny, because we always had snacks.
Like, yeah, totally. Yeah. Which of course. And so I also, the just frank conversation about what bodies need on a trail. So,
and like bodies need different things. Like, that's just the honest truth. And, you know, traditional guidebooks aren't talking about that. Like, hey, you know, if you experience chub rub, you might want to bring some salve with you, or, you know, like in your first aid kit in case you have a flare up or whatever. It's like, that's important to note as well, because I like knowing what to expect, you know, like there can be some fun elements to like unexpected stuff, which is, there's plenty of that in the outdoors, but like, I like to be prepared and to have the things that I'm going to need to like have an enjoyable experience. And if I'm hungry and I don't have snacks, like, I'm not going to have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. What you need and what you also just might long for. Like you talk about bringing a book, you know? Yeah.
I know. And I like, my dream with this book too was that, you know, so like my publisher, I told them like what kind of I wanted the cover to be like. I was like, I don't want this to be like a coffee table book, although it's beautiful, so you should put it on your coffee table. But I want it to be a material that like it can get muddy, it can get wet, it can get dirty. It's not gonna like ruin the book. It's gonna. So that is like,
took this to the beach, and it's been around a 7-year-old and still looks fantastic. But really, reading this on the beach is a place that I can have negative self-talk about how challenging it is to walk in sand for me. And I noticed I was nicer to myself because I had this beautiful book and all of these voices in here that said to me, just be with your body, however your body is, and however it is with the sand maybe is incredible, even if it hurts later a little bit. You know, you can take care of your body then too, but it's okay to walk slow in the sand.
And walking in deep sand really is not fun. I mean, I don't know anybody who likes that. Or there are people who like, I don't know them.
Yeah. But you know, if you are looking for a warm-hearted, nice companion to bring with you, to do something that you might find challenging outdoors. I mean, honestly, Summer, this book was really, I'm not just saying that because here we are, like it's true. Like it really was a friend. So yeah.
Books are friends.
They are.
I feel like a nerd would say that, but I truly believe it.
Yeah.
I even love children's books. Like I just love books. I've always like carried a book, usually in a journal with me, and a camera everywhere I go. That's just, you know, and now I have my van, and if I don't have my van, I'm like, those things are in my backpack, because I just, it makes me who I am, and it's important to me to have those are tools to me as well in getting outside, you know?
Yeah, that bring you grounding and pleasure and enjoyment and closer to yourself and into nature.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed that this is like just so many frank conversations about the lack of representation, and how much we need that, and models of possibility. And I loved all the Instagrams that were linked at the end to help people go find one another.
Yeah, I mean, because that was how Fat Girls Hiking started. It was to offer representation in the outdoors, because it didn't exist there. I mean, in 2018, Instagram did not have a lot of diverse outdoor media at all, you know? I mean, there was a few great accounts, which I do mention in the book. But now it's like everywhere, which, I mean, well, at least on my feed, because that's the people I follow are, you know, fat outdoorsy people. But it's so cool now. I'm like, it's so exciting to me that that has that the representation is there now, you know? And I think that obviously there's still more work to do in the like greater mainstream outdoor industry. There's tons of work to do there, and in like more mainstream like outdoor media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not my fave. I don't really follow, like, I guess I won't name any, but I could, but I'll be nice for once. But you know, like, okay, I'll just say REI, even though REI is selling my
great. REI is selling your book. Okay, yeah.
REI
Yeah.
selling my book. An REI employee sent me a picture of my book
Yeah.
in an article, which is very exciting, you know, but yeah, like they're not great, you know.
Oh, and that's a place when I don't go there anymore, but because when I have gone there, it's hard to find someone to help me because they don't believe that well, first of all, I can't fit into the things that they have there. And then they don't believe that I, you know, am of the outdoors too, or would like to be. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, I will say, like, I feel like they have done some work to make it more inclusive. And I think that's great. And I think that we, you know, I think we just have to keep pushing for more and more. And I think that is how things change, right? Is the individual representation and these communities like Fat Girls Hiking, you know, being out here kind of pushing, you know, brands to be more inclusive, and in their media, specifically in their media and on their social media feeds, and in their stores. And, you know, maybe there's just, you know, there's going to be more for bigger brands. And I think there should be, because when people think of the outdoors, they do think about REI, right? And at least in the US, it's like REI is the place you go. And so yeah, just do better. That's, you know, I just say to these kind of brands, like, just do better, and you can do better.
Definitely do better.
Nothing stops. Have a lot of resources as a corporation, you know, you can do.
Yeah. A friend of mine says in the chat, I've literally never been able to get someone to help me buy shoes at REI. So I just am affirming you're not the only one. Okay, so there's a question here. A lot of folks have fear about going in the woods, possibly that their body won't be able to carry them, possibly of getting lost, fear of others. If you had fears when you first started hiking, how did you work with your fears?
Yes, I had lots of fears, still do. And I live practically outdoors. I have a lot of fear of animals, wild animals, predators. I have fear of cougars and bears mostly, because that's what we have here. But I think that, like, a really big thing is, you know, having a lot of information. Like, I really like to research, like, what I might expect, you know, so like what the trails are like or whatever, and what the weather might be like, and just so I'm prepared. And knowledge is power, you know, all that. And unfortunately, it's like with the people situation, being afraid of other people in the outdoors. I always have mace and bear spray on my pack when I'm hiking. And that does help my peace of mind, to be honest. Like, when I was traveling around the country, I call it my man spray and my bear spray, because, like, those are the things I was afraid of, is men and bears, like, when you're sleeping alone in a tent at night, you know, and especially going into the woods or going into an unknown place, it can be very scary. And I think you just have to honor that, and, you know, listen to your instincts and your intuitions. And I have definitely, like, shamed myself for being like, you know, oh, don't be ridiculous, like, you're fine or whatever. And it's like, yes. And also, I think it's okay to, like, honor that fear is real, and you're not being silly by being afraid. And whatever you need to do to take care of yourself in those moments, and after that as well, like processing with a friend or journaling about it or whatever. I've had scary situations in the outdoors, and it's not fun, you know, and you get through it, and hopefully that experience, like, you know, helps with more like experiences in the future, right?
And how about ability fears? Was part asking hopefully that your body won't be able to carry you.
Yes. And that is huge for me as well. I have chronic pain. So I have daily pain and it's different every day. I usually I usually try to, depending on, what my level of ability is on a given day, choose things accordingly to that. So choosing ADA accessible trails or, flat, short hikes. And also just, if you start hiking and you're not feeling it, it's okay to just give yourself permission to just stop and turn around. Um, you can try things that maybe aren't in the woods. So maybe that element of like fear is gone. You could like see how far you can go in a neighborhood where you live or something, just so you can kind of gauge what might be possible for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. One of the gear items that you talked about and that a friend of mine and I are now looking for is a lightweight seat that you could bring with you so that I could just be with my body as it needs a rest.
Yes. And that's actually like a tip and a tool that a friend of mine who was in the book, Michelina, she was the one who first introduced me to that. It's like, to have the tools that we need to get outside is like such a game changer. Trekking poles is a huge thing too, that I never realized how helpful that would be. But to have a seat for me with chronic pain is important, and it is, it's different. It's like something you don't see every day in the outdoors, right? Is somebody like pulling out a stool so they can sit on the side of the trail for a minute.
Yeah.
But like, who cares? Like, do the things that you need to do to enjoy that. And you have every right to do that,
Yeah. Renee in the chat says the seat idea is genius. My hubby and I both want one now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me too. Yes.
Yeah. And I've heard
like queer femme it out also. Yes. I want to like queer femme decorate it.
Yes.
Well. Okay. For people who don't know what trekking poles are, which is also to a large degree me, what are trekking poles and how have you found them helpful?
So trekking poles are kind of like, they look like the ski poles, but they usually compact to like about a foot long maybe, so you can put them in your backpack, or but they usually expand so people of differing heights can use them, and you hold them in your hands, and you want it to be a 90-degree angle with your elbow as you're holding onto them and they're on the ground, and it takes a little getting used to, because you're, do I go with this leg or with this leg, and you kind of, it takes a little bit of time, to kind of get the hang of it. But what I found with so I have back pain and knee and foot pain sometimes. So it's like that support of those trekking poles, it's almost like holding onto a railing. The support of a railing, that's what it feels like. And so it alleviates, for me, foot and knee and back pain, or it just helps me be steady on my feet as well. So sometimes when I'm experiencing a lot of pain, well, I'm usually not hiking when I'm experiencing a lot of pain, but if that comes up while I'm hiking, then having that tool can kind of like get me back, and keep me steady, which is hugely important for safety in the outdoors,
Yeah. And again, just affirming that it's okay to bring with us the things that we need to feel steadiness, to experience rest outdoors, to experience being nourished physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
You also talk about pooping, that like they're just that your body is doing what it's going to do. And so bringing a shovel or packing it out. And so which is to say, again, that if you're looking for just some frank conversations and frank reading about hiking, Summer even goes there.
Well, it's something people don't talk about. And I'm like, yeah. I have had some emergency poop situations.
Absolutely. Yes.
And it's not fun. And having like, you can get like these little trowels. It's like just a little shovel. It's about this big. They make lightweight ones, and it actually has measurements, because a lot of times you have to bury your poop. And just having like wet wipes and toilet paper, and you have to pack it all out with you. The thing that, we don't usually hear too is like, well, if you're a fat person, you're not always able to squat down in a position where you can even poop outside, right? So I always recommend to people obviously it's different in varying areas depending on what kind of nature you're hiking in, but finding like a tree or like a log or something to lean against is really helpful, because sometimes holding that squatting position is just like not possible, but those are sort of my tips for people who honestly, I would rather have a bathroom or something, not having to like poop in a hole, but
sure. Yeah.
I'm a fan, so I poop in a bucket every day. So
yeah, right. Yeah. And again, we have animal bodies. These are real things that happen on the trail. Someone in the chat is asking, what are your thoughts on pee pockets? Helpful?
Oh yeah, like a pee style or kiwi. I have not had good experience with it myself. I love this conversation. I love it.
Here we are.
Let's like take the weirdness out of this, but like I pee in an old Folgers container, like a Folgers container. That is what I use in my van, and that's what I pee in. And that's like maybe not something that people want to know, but like that's how van life is. And I know pretty much anybody I've ever met that does van life is like there's probably a container of pee somewhere in your van.
Well, I think that a fat magic is that we often recognize the absolute need to have very real conversations about how our bodies are and what we need in doing different activities. And so truly, I know that this is like not like a mainstream maybe conversation to have, but like, people our bodies have to use the bathroom, especially with movement sometimes. And that's part of it. Yeah. So
and is that what the question was? A pee pocket? I'm not sure if that's what I
think so, like a pee style, I'm assuming. And we've got another just like nod to, I'll just read it. I've used a portable chair and trekking poles. Without the chair, I never would have been able to hike a White Tank waterfall trail in Arizona. And without my trekking poles, I never would have made it up Hayden Butte, in Tempe. My accommodations help me experience more in nature. Yes. Accommodations help experience more.
Yeah. I love that. And honestly, like I know people can be apprehensive, like especially when I've heard people say like, oh, I didn't think trekking poles were something I should use. Like we have this idea of like who uses these tools, right? And it's like it really doesn't matter. I think the more we like talk openly about like just use the tools that you need for your experience, and there's nothing shameful about it.
Yeah. And that's a lot of like ableism that that you that your body ought to not have needs. Of course, every body has needs, and every body deserves to move and enjoy and experience pleasure and have the tools that you need to be in the life you want to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. We're getting closer to time here. If folks do have other questions or just things you want to say or questions you want to ask Summer about the outdoors or hiking or photography or van life. There was also bike packing in the book, which I had never heard of before. Those words together.
Yeah.
I've done
it once. That's Marley and Kaylee they're the founders of All Bodies on Bikes.
Yes.
And, such a great organization, just trying to make the biking industry more accessible to fat folks. So highly recommend following them on like Instagram. But bike packing is essentially like backpacking, except you're on your bike and everything's strapped onto your bike. And I did it once. I biked from Portland to this sort of area near Portland, and it was fun. I mean, it was hard, but it was really fun to just have everything you need on your bike and go and be camping. And I like woke up on a beach, and like that was so fun, and then ride my bike home. I will say I did take the bus part of the way home because
Yeah,
I was
good.
very tired.
Yes, excellent. Yeah. Oh, we have a question about shoes. Can you talk about shoes? I legit want to wear flip-flops, but hiking boots are a whole thing.
Yeah. Hiking boots are a whole thing. And I will say I have tried a bunch of different brands of hiking boots. And I would still say I have not found like my dream pair. If flip-flops feel comfortable for you while you're hiking, you should wear flip-flops because why not? You get to decide. I've heard from a lot of people that I am not a Croc wearer. I'm a little bit like one of those like, oh, Crocs, why are they so popular? But my bestie's getting married this summer and she got Crocs for all of us. And so I'm going to be in the Croc club soon. And I've also heard people say that Crocs are really comfortable for hiking, and I'm going to try it because I like the idea of hiking in glittery silver Crocs.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
But hiking boots are really tricky. I would just say try them on in person if possible. Go to like a outdoor retailer. And they do make wide width. I mean, that's a thing for me. Obviously it's not for everyone, but like they do make wide width shoes. Keen is a really good brand that has wide width. And I've used their shoes before, but I'm still looking for my dream pair of hiking boots, to be honest. And that's a shame. I feel like, okay, brands that make hiking boots, could you just like all send me some so I could just figure it out? Like,
yeah, brands, send your shoes to Summer.
Thank
Yes.
you. for free because I'm poor.
Yeah, definitely for free. Another question, can you talk about how you plan where you will go in your van and on your hikes?
I haven't really been traveling in my van much because of the pandemic. I've kind of found a home on the coast, on the Oregon coast now. But how I used to plan with the van was basically like, where do I want to go? What do I want to see? I have all these lists in my phone, in my notes on my phone, of places that I want to hike and camp and see in person. So that's usually a big factor in my travel plans when I am in the van. And with hikes, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, what do I want to see? Or, I love being near the water. So those kind of places take precedence. But I don't know. How do I plan? Is that the question? How do I plan the hikes?
Yeah, maybe like 2 plan tips how to plan for a hike.
How to plan for a hike. Oh, like in general, how do you plan for a hike too?
Yes.
So I, again, research. I look up. So once I find a hike that I'm interested in, I will look at a few different like online resources, especially ones that have like trail reviews from like users, because there can be lots of information in there, and usually you can see what the dates are, so you can see like if there's like a slide or landslide or something, or the trail's blocked, or there's just a lot of information. And somebody in the book, I don't know if this made it in the book, I can't remember, but she will go and look at like, she'll like in YouTube, she'll type in like the name of a hike just to see like people's videos of a trail, so she can kind of like know what to expect in that way. And it's kind of like whatever your level of what you need ahead of time. But for me, it's like researching, making sure I have everything I need in my pack, having like weather appropriate attire, and letting people know where you are if you're not going to have cell service is a huge thing. Especially when I'm in my van too. I don't really like to go places unless they have cell service because I'm by myself, and that's for me, that's my comfort level. I don't want to like park somewhere overnight that doesn't have cell service if I'm by myself. So letting people know where you're going, when to expect you back, is a really good safety tip as well.
Yeah, so planning for like physical needs, and also I'm hearing the like safety, but also emotionally, how am I going to be here? That's such a therapy thing for me to have just said, but here we are. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. What is van life, and is that a yurt? Is the next question that has just come through.
Van life is essentially just living. Have been living in a van for 3 or 4 years. I can't remember. So it's essentially just, like you would live in a house, but you're in a van. And everywhere I go, I'm like a little turtle, and I have my home with me, which for me is an extremely amazing access tool, because as a person with chronic pain, I can't always be outside every day. Some days I need to be laying in my bed, and I get to drive my bed with me wherever I go, and I can go to beautiful nature spots and look out my van window and be in bed and be, resting and taking care of my body. So that's what it is for me, at least. And this is a yurt that it's kind of like a studio space that I've been renting for the winter, and I'm going to move out soon, but it's been really cool to experience sort of like yurt life as well. And I will say yurts are very noisy and cold in the winter, but like when it rains, it's like the most amazing sound. So highly recommend, if you ever get a chance to like go to a yurt, that a lot of campgrounds have them, just to experience staying in them for a night. Highly recommend. It's like something about the round shape. I don't know. I don't know. There's things that they say about it. It's supposed to be.
It's beautiful. Well, before I invite Errol back on, I want to ask you one last question, which is in this moment, if there's something you wish people, if they were going to leave here knowing or feeling any one thing, what would it be? And I don't mean to ask you that, like, what's your favorite song of all time, but like just this moment, just right here in this moment, what do you want people to leave with tonight?
I just want people to leave with a sense that they can connect to nature in any way that's meaningful to them. And that is truly a very joyous and healing experience. And I just really hope that, people are inspired to get outside. That's really, honestly, that's like my work. That's like everything that the community and all the work that I've done, writing the book, it's all been about like giving more space to people, be outside and to connect, because it's Earth Day. And the coolest thing, it's Earth Day every day for me. Like, I'm so funny I'm going to say that, but I think that when when we're able to make the outdoors more accessible, or outdoor recreation more accessible to more people, it's like inviting people to love natural spaces in this deeper way. And I think when we appreciate and connect and love natural spaces, we're more apt to protect them. And that is huge. And if we have more people that are like welcomed into the outdoors, we're going to have more people who are going to protect nature and our planet. And that is so important to me, because nature is everything to me. It's my whole life. I love it more than anything, it's like equal to me. So, I just hope that people walk away with a desire to, maybe connect deeper with nature.
Thank you for sharing one of your deepest loves with all of us in such a beautiful way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Errol, I'll hand it over to you. And there are thank yous happening in the chat to you as well, Summer.
This was such a good way to celebrate Earth Day. Thank you so much to both of you. It made me really happy. Made me think about what it means to keep going out in nature, even if you do have chronic pain or you do have other stuff going on. Because I do feel like, sometimes I can get psyched out about that and be like, it's not worth it. But I'm gonna get a chair because now you have inspired me. So I love it. Thank you. I want to encourage folks, you can click this teal button to buy Fat Girls Hiking, an inclusive guide to getting outdoors at any size or ability from Charis. It really does help us when you buy the event books directly from us.
Yes.
Yes, we love it. And, I do want to make sure folks know where they can follow you, Summer, in case this is their first experience of you. Do you want to shout out your social media and everything?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Fat Girls Hiking. On Facebook, it's the same, Fat Girls Hiking. The website, fatgirlshiking.com.
Good branding. Easy. Love it. Well, if folks are watching and they know somebody who would love this, it will be available to watch immediately after we finish airing. And then it's also going to be on our Charis YouTube, which is just youtube.com/Charis Circle. So I hope that you both stay safe and well. Thank you both so much. And congratulations on a great success, Summer.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great to talk with you, Sarah, and you too.
Super fun. Bye, y'all.